Welcome to Thriver TV, the place to break free from narcissistic abuse with quantum tools and understandings. I love this topic today because I'm passionate about people understanding this information. Many individuals have a huge aversion to purposeful dating. They literally despise spending time going out on dates and meeting potential partners, and they may loathe wasting their time with the wrong people, as well as their time and their effort, and even wasting their money in dating. Shouldn't the universe just deliver your perfect partner to you? Why date anyway? I'm going to have so much fun answering these questions very soon. And what about those of us who've been shredded to pieces by narcissists? Maybe we even met these people whilst going out on dates. Many of us fell into relationships with them that nearly claimed our lives. So how can we date and not have that happen again? That's another question I can't wait to answer. So stay watching, because we're going to get into lots of juicy information today about how to date and align with the beloved while safely weeding out narcissists along the way. Okay, so before we get started, I want to thank all of you wonderful Thrivers for subscribing to this channel and the Thriver mission. And I also want to remind you that if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, please do. And if you like this video, please make sure that you give it a thumbs up. All right, so let's have a look at this question. Is internet dating dangerous? Many narcissistic experts will tell you that internet dating is dangerous because people lie, misrepresent themselves, and get all sorts of inside information on you to manipulate you, etc. Okay, so I got to tell you, this really amuses me because people can lie and misrepresent themselves in any walk of life. Your next door neighbour who you've known for years could be a compulsive liar and a total sociopath and you don't know it. Also, so what if people know what you like and dislike and what you're looking for in a potential partner? This is not a threat to you if you are not too needy to be susceptible to being love bombed, and if you have healthy boundaries, which means that you are ready and capable to confront things that feel uncomfortable. You're prepared to have a necessary, difficult conversation if necessary. When we get serious about taking responsibility for our life and being a healthy adult, we don't connect with people at intimate levels before working out what their integrity and their ethics are. If you're a sensible, hold-together human being, then you won't let a person into your home, your bed, and your body before it's healthy to do so. You also won't let a stranger come to your house or meet them somewhere that isn't a public place. And you won't capitulate to do any of these things, even on a second, third, or beyond date, if you don't feel comfortable to do so. And that's not being paranoid, it's being real and caring for and valuing yourself and other healthy adults. Respect that you value yourself to take your time to get to know them before trusting them. So regarding the arguments against internet dating, I believe it is the best opportunity to date for virtually anyone who is no longer in their 20s. When you're in your 30s, 40s and beyond, where are you easily going to meet a potential partner? Do you have enough friends? We're single friends. Are you involved in enough clubs to give you a wide variety of choices, which is what you should be considering rather than just the first attractive person who turns up? Are you going to try to meet somebody at a nightclub? There are wonderful people on internet dating, and there are narcissistic ones, just as there are both in every aspect of life. People ask all the time, which dating site should I go on? If you're after a committed relationship, choose a site that's not about hookups. And I would also strongly suggest joining one with paid membership, as that is a sign of a more genuine intent. But apart from that, your success all comes down to the quantum truth, which has nothing to do with everyone or anyone else. It's all about who you are being. There are people on the same sites having dreadful experiences, and there are people on these sites having wonderful ones. None of this has anything to do with luck and other members on these sites. It has to do with consciousness and inner personal development. So, how we can avoid future narcissists in our future? How can we avoid them? Regardless of whether you are on an internet dating site or at a party or a friend's gathering, or you're walking around in a supermarket or a nightclub, living in fear of who you can meet and not being your authentic whole self is your biggest danger point. We attract what we fear. No different to somebody swerving on the road and being focused on and going straight into a tree. If we have our traumas and our fears stuck inside us, then inevitably we will hide out and avoid potential relationships, which means that our traumas are eating us alive anyway. Or if we try to find love, we risk somebody coming in who matches these internal trapped traumas. Ironically, we will think that this person is the savior of our wounds and that they will take the pain away, yet they will end up smashing us so hard that there's no avoiding our inner traumas, those disowned parts of ourselves, the traumas that we were not previously dealing with and liberating ourselves from. In matters of love, once we start embracing these fears and we have a plan with how to deal with them to fully become our radiant power and authentic self, I promise you that narcissists will become repulsive to you. And like the strong, buoyant, self-loving boundary beast that you will be, a narcissist will run away and towards much easier prey. There will be no taking you down. If you want to be this man or woman, if you're with me, I want you to write self-loving boundary beast, here I come, below. Okay, so let's get into the real meat of this. Let's have a look at this. The field of relationship at the quantum level brings to us the evidence of our inner love code. So let me be really straight with you about this. If you're trying to look for a different person to have a different love experience, you're in wrong town. You need to be the different person who is now aligned with the love experience you seek. So how do you break out of your old inner love code and into the one that you do want to have? You do that with self-investigation, complete self-honesty, and devotion to reprogramming your love code with diligent inner healing. Most of us in this community have or did have inner love codes that don't serve us. And it's up to us to up-level from these inner codes to much healthier realities. Let me explain. My painful inner love code was making me take part in love relationships with controlling, possessive, jealous men. I didn't have rights, I didn't have a voice, and heaven forbid if I chose my passions, freedom, or self-expression. I incessantly put up with being controlled and owned like this terribly. Thank God I realized this pattern needed to stop, and I needed to be the woman who no longer lived this pattern. There were many inner beliefs and traumas I needed to shift so that I would no longer be derailed with guilt or fear by these men, thus handing over my independence and individuality. I also realized that the men I dated had to have the emotional security to not only allow me to have my own life interests and success, but to also encourage and support it. I got very clear and had to do a lot of work on confronting, standing up, and no longer tolerating by leaving if that pattern emerged again. And I'm happy to say I would not tolerate for 10 seconds now that behaviour. and it simply doesn't exist in any shape or form in my love life today, and it hasn't for many years. We can have many different defunct love codes. You may have one of unavailable partners, and there is no way that you would tolerate the engulfing, interrogating 20 text messages a day that I used to put up with and tell yourself it's because he loves me and misses me so much. Just as I wouldn't put up with a man going missing for 3 days and telling myself, oh, he must just be busy. Back then, even though I was doing my love code extremely unhealthily, I was very clear on unavailable men. If one even looked like being that way, I'd say, this is not the kind of relationship I'm after. Are you interested or not? Because if you aren't, don't waste my time. I had zero tolerance and therefore barely ever came across unavailable people and ended these relationship potentials easily. The truth was I had zero attraction to these types because that wasn't my love code. Just as you may say to a controlling date, don't think I'm going to tolerate you breathing down my neck every minute of the day. You don't own me. And walk away and never look back because that's not your love code. This is the deal. Not only are we attracted to the people who represent our painful love codes, we also unconsciously collude to keep them going. I used to believe that attached, possessive love meant I was adored and I wouldn't be left because I was terrified about abandonment. So I'd make excuses for this behaviour and not lay strong boundaries to it because of the fear of being dumped for not complying. And you may tolerate unavailable partners because a parent was unavailable and you're used to hanging in there waiting for crumbs of affection and attention. And therefore you will make excuses regarding why this person doesn't have the resources or the desire to commit to you. Maybe you're distraught how people only present who are interested in sex. And yet when communicating with people, you have an unconscious belief that you have to be sexually attractive enough to have a chance with them. Maybe unconsciously, you've been objectifying yourself rather than being solid inside regarding your worth and value, commanding that a potential partner wants to spend time to get to know you rather than sexualize you. This is the thing when you get very serious about changing your previous painful love codes. You will go through major discomfort because getting out of the love code takes effort. It takes confronting and healing the parts of ourselves that we may not want to own and get honest about, but we have to. I had to get super honest about my fears of abandonment causing me to call in and tolerate engulfers. I had to fully go into that terror inside me, hold it, release it, and heal myself beyond it. Otherwise, it was always going to give me every excuse because our brain always makes up stories to justify the fulfilling of the inner love code, to keep gravitating towards these people and hang on to them despite their abuse. I can't urge you enough to get serious about fully facing and owning what your painful inner love code is. Do you know what to heal within you to no longer partake in that love code? What type of potential partner do you need to say no to now? Just like an addict needs to give up the drug that's been destroying them. What work will you need to do on yourself so that you reprogram your inner love code to be aligned and attracted to healthy people rather than the old painful pattern? I promise you, if you do the inner work on your love code, you will get there. I and so many others have achieved this. Personally, I find engulfers now completely off-putting. I've got zero attraction to them. And today I am so happy to report I am with and attracted to a decent, caring, allowing me to be me man. If you would like to, how about sharing your revelations below regarding your inner love code? You may have already been working on it or worked on it or broken through about it. I'd love to hear about your revelations. So share them below. Okay, so let's get into our next topic on this. I think it's safe to say all of us in this community have baggage. If we've been narcissistically abused, we have lots of experiences about having our souls and our lives torn to shreds. So the question is, how are we dealing with this baggage? Are we being a victim, just going through this trauma, or are we determined to be a thriver, growing through it? The victim believes somebody else has to take their pain away and grant them the love, approval, security, and survival that they don't feel like they can grant themselves. I used to feel like this too, and it doesn't work. Rather, this is a recipe for ongoing relationships of abuse, victimization, and traumatization. It's no one else's job to heal us. It's our own job. The thriver accepts that their previous traumas exposed what was not yet whole within, and they've taken on their own inner development to not just escape abusers again, but also to up-level themselves to a place of self-love, self-worth, and self-generative ability that they may never have felt before being abused, and even if abuse is all they've ever known. There is no more positive way to grow beyond patterns of being in abusive and toxic relationships than employing gratitude and growth. Because then there's no longer a desire to have other people be a source to self. It means moving beyond being a damaged inner child in an adult's body, unconsciously looking for a parent to heal you. When we accept that we must do the inner work, we can grow up inside and then seek another healthy adult to share a healthy life with. And I really believe it's only this generation now that is waking up to understand that somebody else doesn't complete you. To be with a soulmate, there's a necessity to mate your own soul first. Otherwise, you will find yourself with yet another cellmate, a person who doesn't heal your inner wounds for you, but rather grant you the evidence of them. I promise you with all of my heart, one of the biggest inoculations you will ever have against narcissists whilst dating is to be anchored into your gratitude and growth from your previous experiences. A narcissist is looking for your weaknesses, your unhealed wounds to hook you with. Victims are easy targets for narcissists because you talk about what has hurt you in the past, and the narcissist will pretend to be the savior of that. Then, like a parched human in a desert finding an oasis, if we're a victim, we can be snared into the narcissist's clutches. We think we've hit pay dirt, that this is the person we've been waiting for our whole life. And I promise you that this used to happen to me too. However, when you tell a narcissist that you are focused, so you could be on a date and it's a narcissist and you don't know, but you're being real and authentic. And if you were to say that you are focused on self-actualization and you're grateful for the self-awareness and growth and being committed to your evolution because of your previous experiences, you may as well be holding up garlic to a vampire. Narcissists detest authenticity and healthy self-ownership and power. They truly have to get away from it because it's such a painful reminder of how they are powerless to affect you. Narcissists can only operate in your experience by using the energy of your wounds against you. If you completely own them, your wounds, and you're grateful for them and you have them in hand, there is no way for a narcissist to get hooks into you. Okay, I want to talk about this topic, multiple dating with real people. And I really mean this. And I want you to think of dating like a sales funnel. You're putting yourself out there to more than one person, and then there'll be a level of interest expressed possibly by several people. Then with each of these people, there is follow-up qualifying to see if there is a match in order to connect further. And ultimately, the goal is for a real transaction to take place, which in this case is the exclusivity commitment between you and one other person. And I know that this may sound unromantic. However, please know dating with multiple potential people can be so healthy and incredibly fulfilling. Imagine meeting lovely people who you have qualified to have integrity and compatible values with you, with some emails and a phone call before meeting. Imagine enjoying a glass of wine and a meal whilst conducting yourself like a lady or a gentleman, getting to know people at a respectful pace. It's great fun, and it brings you so much growth and development to know that you can lay boundaries, have difficult conversations if needed to speak up, ask questions, and know that you are ascertaining whether or not this person is suitable for you instead of just hoping to be chosen. In the old days, when I was unhealed and not in my power at all, full of trauma, I was terrified of dating, and my experiences with it were horrific. So within, so without. And to stop going through such horror, what I wanted to do was grab the first likely candidate to put an end to the torture that I was going through. No way could I have contemplated multiple dating, let alone thoroughly enjoyed it. Since learning about myself and dating and determinedly healing myself from my previous painful love codes, I've loved dating respectfully. And I was looking for a potential suitor with similar values, character and integrity, as well as someone who I was attracted to commit to a relationship with. And in amongst multiple dating, my current partner showed up very quickly. And I believe it was because I was completely clear regarding who I was looking for, and I believed in abundance and plenty, as well as loved the dating process without requiring a set outcome. And also, another tip, I want you to make sure that you get out on a date quickly with somebody that you're in communication with. Don't get sucked into a pseudo relationship that doesn't exist. If somebody doesn't want to meet up, move on to people who do. And don't get bogged down in or disappointed by one person. If someone doesn't work out, it's not meant to. And this has given you the chance to heal yet something else within you. There is plenty more opportunity and blessings from the field, unlimited in fact, if you keep being the person aligned with and generating your healthy truth. So I truly could go on about so much more about this topic because I find it to be a really fun and interesting one, and I know so many of you struggle with it. So I hope this helps. And I can, of course, answer your questions on YouTube and the blog about this. And regarding those of us who've been narcissistically abused, let's just go over again what I believe is the most important points. They are this. Do the inner work so that you are not leading with your wounds. Ensure you are very clear that you firmly say no now to partaking in your old painful love code pattern. If you've been like me, if somebody starts engulfing, end it. If you've been into unavailable people and this person starts not showing up, step up, say what you need, and if they don't present as available, end it. Be grateful for your evolution and growth rather than seeking somebody to take the pain away. That's so important. Make your mission of healing you the number one thing. And don't get stuck, disappointed, or bogged down on one person. And it's so important. Be authentic and empowered. because then you're going to no longer be needy and you're no longer going to get into instant hookups. And it's so important to make sensible decisions regarding aligning with healthy people with integrity, who you take your time to get to know. So those of you that are narpers, through dating, you have the perfect opportunity whilst dating to meet and release any triggers of fear within that come up, so that you can keep up leveling and showing up more and more in your power and your truth. And that will generate the reality of a relationship with a beloved, somebody healthily aligned with your true self and your true life. And also, if you are a narper, you can receive guidance from myself and other thriver, successful daters in the NARP forum to help you get there. So, I really hope this has helped. And if you know it's time to get started on the realizing and the healing of your painful inner love code as your first step to generating a beloved mate, I can help you do this powerfully by clicking the link at the top right of this video. And if you want to see more of my videos, please subscribe so that you'll be notified as soon as each new one is released. And if you like this, click like. Also, please share with your families, friends, and your communities so that you can help people awaken to these truths. And as always, I'm greatly looking forward to answering your comments and your questions below. So until next time, keep smiling, keep healing, and keep thriving, and happy dating, because there's nothing else to do. Lots of love. Bye-bye.